Hello there.
Welcome back, my friend.
Hello, what have we here?
Jedi, we've been expecting you.
Knew I could count on you.
Hello.
Welcome to the rebellion.
What fun!
What is up, everyone? Hybrid here, and today we're taking a look at a brand new Star Wars The Black Series figure. This is from the new wave of Mandalorian and Grogu figures. It's one that's very exciting. This is the Imperial Remnant Stormtrooper. Now, while we've had a Remnant Stormtrooper before in the line I'll compare to later, this is from a different Remnant, and the weathering is a little bit different type of planet, so it makes sense. But this guy is really cool. He comes with some extra accessories like a pauldron, and he's got a strap with a pouch on it, and I feel that makes him a little bit more army buildable because he doesn't have any like major swaps. You know, he's not wearing like a different trooper's armor here and there like a more specific version would. You could buy a couple of this guy and have one wearing the pauldron, one not, one wearing the pouch, one not, one wearing none of the extra pieces. You know, you could go really crazy with the customizations on this and really flesh out those Remnant forces on your shelves, and that's something really exciting. I'm excited to talk about that in the review, which will be thorough, as they always are. So hang on, let's get started, let's go. And here we have the Remnant Stormtrooper in the packaging. It is very standard Hasbro packaging, but we will take a quick look at it for those in-box collectors. You have a Star Wars Black Series logo above a big window showing him and his accessories off nicely. He's number 5 in the Mandalorian and Grogu packaging. You can tell because that dark blue coloring they used for all of the Mando and Grogu figures so far. Warning, 4+ Hasbro. This side of the box features really cool artwork of him kind of leaning forward menacingly. And you have his name below that. This side of the box features your wraparound window, stripe, and your Black Series logo. Around back, you have that zoom in of that side art, a Black Series logo, a bio about the movie in 5 different languages. Pause and read whichever one best applies to you. He is number 5 in the line, once again with a bunch of legal stuff, Disney and Hasbro logos, more legal stuff, barcode underneath, and a hanger tab. Very standard action figure packaging stuff. Not a lot to write home about here, so we're going to go ahead and get on into the review and look at the exciting part of the figure. The figure. Here's our Remnant Stormtrooper out of the packaging. Let's go ahead and look at his accessories first, as we typically do here. He comes with the Stormtrooper E11 blaster, as we have seen for a number of years now, featuring the extended banana clip and the flashlight mounted to the side. It's a very, very nice looking blaster. However, if you have any of the Stormtroopers that have come out in the last like 6 years, you know what you're getting here. It is in a dark gray plastic, almost black, and it looks very, very nice. Setting that aside, he then comes with the swap out pauldron. It is offered in black this time and features some nicely sculpted lines into it, both on the big flap and then of course on the collar portions. Features a strap that goes under the arm, and we will demonstrate some of the customizability of this guy here very, very briefly. Setting that aside and looking at the figure, this guy looks great. He's got some very nice subtle weathering all over him, and it really makes him pop. Just to do a quick comparison before we dive too deep into it, this is technically our second offering of a Remnant Stormtrooper, with this being the first offering from The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 1. And I don't dislike this. Some people think this is a little bit too heavy-handed. However, I would like to point out, these guys seem to be on like a snow planet. You know, you get a little bit of mud, but it's generally just cold. Whereas these guys are left on a volcanic planet. It's got a lot of ash and soot everywhere. I'm kind of okay with them having different degrees and types of weathering based on the environments they were left in. And they don't look horrible next to each other either, I gotta say. But then having them side by side, I will also bring in just a clean white Stormtrooper, because I need to just emphasize how grungy this guy looks. You know, when you have him on his own, he almost looks white, you know, with some very subtle little patches, but it's the coloring of the plastic that makes all the difference. And these two side by side, it is such a sheen in the yellow direction over the entire figure, where it's like, yeah, this guy is actually really kind of grungy in like all the right ways. So bringing this guy up to the camera to take a closer look, you'll start noticing he clearly has had a pretty good wash go on. Well, first mine seems to have a bubble in the wash on the forearms. I mean, this might be a liquid wash. They don't do that very often at Hasbro anymore. That is nice to see. It has pooled in places like along the grooves on the front of the legs, which just really make those pop. In the abdomen area, a little bit on the chest, underneath of this box. He seems to have it mostly around the nose and not so much around the chin. That could just be this one, but very kind of funny there. But yeah, These guys seem to be picking up extra gear to better suit them on their missions while they are on deployment to the snowy planet. This guy features a box, like a chest pouch, and then it has a strap that wraps around under his armpit, around his neck, and it has a nice texture to the strap. Very like a backpack strap looking, like the lines, in the like vinyl strapping. And this guy is, to a pretty good degree, customizable. So there's a few options you can do here. And this pauldron is very nice. So this pauldron and the strap, or the pouch, are where you get your options. So you can just keep them like this. You could have them wearing the pouch and the pauldron. You can just have them wearing the pauldron. You can take them both off and have just a dirty Stormtrooper with no extra accessories. You got a few options here to where, this guy might not be a guy that you army build a ton of, but I could see you buying like 3 or 4 of this guy and having a little bit of a good squad built up. So to demonstrate some swappability, you can pop the head off like so. Comes off, it leaves the head inside of the helmet, and the double ball neck is left on the trooper, like so. So to demonstrate some of the customizability, you can take the pauldron and you slide it up that arm, and then you push it over his neck. It is meant to cover his right shoulder, and it lays nicely over top of that chest box there, so you can have him rocking both. Or you could remove that, and to remove this chest box, you do have to have the pauldron off. It goes under the pauldron. If you rotate this arm up, and then you fish the strap out from around the guy's neck, it's a little bit of a snug fit. You see it is molded to like perfectly kind of like nest on that guy. Bring the arm down. As mentioned, you can have him perfectly clean, or you could just have him rocking the pauldron like so. And maybe we'll have him finish the review out like that. There you go. And the helmet goes back on. A little bit of force, Might be one where if you give it to the kids, they might come and ask you for some help on it. So maybe, get them to pick their favorite version if you get this one for the kiddos. But Black Series is an adult collector line, but it's very child-friendly as well. It's one for everyone. No gimmicks, no features, but the kiddos can have fun with it too. But that is a little bit of a difficult thing to swap out. But looking at him, this guy looks excellent. I really love the subtle weathering. But otherwise, it is a figure we're very familiar with. You may have seen my video a couple weeks ago talking about the Black Series Stormtrooper mold from The Mandalorian being the definitive 1/12th Trooper. I do generally believe that. I will stand on that hill that it is a very, very nicely done figure. And just to go through it some more, this is a sculpt we've seen. The weathering is really the difference here, but it's just a good looking figure. Around back, they even did a little bit of weathering on the, record and pause button there. That's not very common. I think this one on the back of the thigh is an accident, but even then, the tone of the plastic, it is just it's like a cream colored plastic. They didn't even go for like the white, and that helps with the, aesthetic of it being a very weathered trooper, and I like that a good deal. This guy has been left on post for too long. He wants to go home and see his wife and kids, and here the Empire got destroyed, but somehow he's still on the payroll. And hey, there's a guy coming in a ship, wearing some fancy armor. Maybe he's gonna send him home. Oh, nope, that's not gonna be the case. But there, I just made the opening of that movie sad for some of you. But no, this is just a really good-looking figure. It looks like exactly what you'd want a Remnant Trooper to look like. It's a figure we're all familiar with, but I will still do the articulation segment for you. I'm not that guy that's like, go watch my other Stormtrooper videos. I know some do that, but never here. He can look that far up with the double ball neck system. He can bury his chin side to side, and some nice pivot in there for attitude. The arms come up to a T-pose. There is a very deep butterfly joint, like very deep. Nice range on that. 360-degree rotation at the shoulder. The shoulder pads are on the ring, on the peg in there, so they will travel with the arm if you want them to. Single jointed elbows go way past 90 and swivel at the elbow. 360-degree on the wrist with the left hinging in and out, and the right hinging up and down. There's a mid-torso ball joint hidden under the chest plate, which allows him to crunch that far forward, that far back, Get some side to side and some pivot in there. He can do a pretty good split, and then he can kick his leg straight forward like so. A little bit back. There's an upper thigh rotation in there, the only in the wave because it's such an old sculpt. Single jointed knees go to 90, maybe just a smidge past, and then swivel at the knee. And then the feet can point straight down, pretty far forward, and there's a forward-facing pin for rocker, allowing you to get him into some decently wide stances with both feet flat on the ground. All in all, gotta get him to lean back just a smidge for that center of balance. He is a really good-looking figure and articulates nicely. Standing him up with the other figures in the wave, it does make for a really nice assortment, and with this guy in the center, he complements his other Imperial brethren well, and I look forward to seeing him be in good opposition to the New Republic in the upcoming movie. This is just a very nice-looking wave, all in all, and he's a very nice-looking part of it. Definitely a really, really fun figure, one that I'm glad that I grabbed a couple of. So at the end of the day, what do I think of the Remnant Stormtrooper? I think he's really fun. I love the extra parts he's got going on. The weathering is done very well. It's a little light, but it's better than having it be like too heavy to where it's definitely like super fake looking. It's very subtle, and subtlety can be key on that kind of thing. You don't want to go too crazy. But this guy, you know, as mentioned, we're all familiar with this sculpt. We know what we're getting on a Black Series Stormtrooper. Does the pouch and the pauldron excite you? Are you excited to see him grimed up in the movie? I am, so I was happy to pick up two of this guy. Just a really fun figure. You know what you're getting into when you're getting this, and you know that you're getting generally a good figure. I would argue that this figure, I've said it before, is a definitive Stormtrooper action figure, and it's one that doesn't really need any changes from Hasbro going forward, other than paint as we go along. And I just really, really like this guy. Just a great, great figure. It's always fun to pose. So I'm going to go work on something else now. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't hesitate to leave a comment. Let's hang out in the comments and talk about how excited we are for this movie and these figures. May the Force be with each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you next time.